Welcome to Jacques Cousteau and the Dirty Dozen. We don't really have a name for this show yet, but basically, I don't want to call us two silly mofos again because we're not silly, but want to sit here and say hello to the people and once again get down with the get down and start talking about what's going down with the what goes on and what's not and who's have yous and what have you. My name is King Bear Sadat. I'm here as your host every whatever the hell this is, and we're gonna sit here and talk about what it is in the society. I'm sitting with my man Ed Lyles. Ed, what's going on?
Nothing much, just another day here on planet Earth and just holding it down.
I hear that, brother.
Ready to talk some smart, squared away, intelligent conversation.
Since we really don't have a subject matter to talk about, there's a couple of things I want to talk about regarding the sort of the world of sport.
So we do have a subject matter.
Kinda. But not like as polished as I'd like it to be. But one of the things I wanted to talk about was, did you see Bernard Hopkins, his last fight Bernard Hopkins, champion, ex-prisoner, had his last fight at age 52. Did you see that?
Oh yeah, it was horrifying, man, just to see somebody get beat like that. But you know how it is. Those champions never want to quit. I think Muhammad Ali had his little bout like that with Larry Holmes, I believe, and Mike Tyson. He had a couple bouts like that. You always hate to see the people that you idolize not perform up to what you expect. Your heart always goes out to them.
Yeah.
There's a whole laundry list of people we could talk
Right.
about those things.
Man, Larry said that he hated having to do that to Muhammad Ali. But
Yeah,
man,
I heard he went to his hotel that night and cried at his feet.
Man, can you imagine?
Could you imagine that? It was his he had to beat up his idol, man.
But to see Bernard Hopkins literally get knocked out of the ring into retirement, it was
almost like wrestling.
Shit.
It's like WWE. It was like, oh my gosh.
But man, 52 fighting a 20-some-year-old man, he's supposed to had a hammer in his back pocket.
He had some lead pipe in his gloves or something.
Another thing I wanted to talk about was the proliferation with young people starting to come out. Basically, we know football is a very dangerous sport. So it looks like this year, I forget his name, but the young McCaffrey guy from Stanford, and I think his name is Fournette from LSU. Both of them are deciding to forego their final game of the year and play not in the bowl game because the bowl game doesn't mean anything in the new structure. There's only the championship, the playoffs, bowl championship series, I guess is what it's called. And then, or else there's nothing. So these two cats are deciding to forego the whole, the final two games and come out early so they make sure they don't basically potentially put themselves in a situation where they get injured.
Yeah,
So what's your thoughts on these young people coming out early and deciding to do what's best for them and maybe not putting team first or whatever these other colloquialisms are about what people should be doing and how they should be handling their careers?
Ooh, that's a tough one because it's not a team game. It's an individual game because you're gonna put the individual that's the best at key positions for overall team goal, and that's to win the game, win the championship. And so when the NCAA said, "Hey, we need to go to a playoff system. The ranking system isn't working," it seems like they're still working the bugs out. So at the end of the day, the fans were complaining. Maybe the fans were complaining. Maybe they weren't complaining that their team wasn't ranked number one, and so they're trying to work some bugs out. And so who suffers at the end of the day? The fan who wants to go to the game and see McCaffrey and these other gentlemen play their last game. But your body is your investment.
Right.
If your body runs out, you're done.
It's funny you say that because a lot of the older cats are saying that, these guys turn their back on their team. What about the linemen who represented them and giving the linemen a chance to, because they're basically saying, McCaffrey and Fournette have already shown what they can do. There's nothing more they can show, potential scouts. Fournette's probably going to go in the first, and McCaffrey's probably going to go in the early second, maybe late second. But just there's nothing they can do to increase their draft. There's nothing they can do to increase their draft stock. But they're saying that, they should have been there for the team, to maybe help the old linemen look a little bit better and that kind of stuff.
You know what? They break down and analyze sports so much that I don't think one game is going to predict whether you get drafted or you don't get drafted. McCaffrey has his stats. They blocked for him for 4 or 3 years of how many years he's been in college. So they know what the offensive lineman can do. So I think it's a move point. It's college business is going into college now.
Right.
It's been in there, but it's more focused nowadays than it has been in the past. And so you got to look out for your you got to look out for your brand.
Right.
That's the new thing. You got to look out for your brand.
Right. It's
at
like,
the
you
end
know,
of
the
the
only
day.
thing they can't do anything to improve their situation, but they certainly can get themselves to get knocked out of the first round, like that dude from, I can't think of his name, but from Notre Dame last year.
Or
He's
like
supposed to-
McGahee
Yeah,
that
McGahee
year.
got hurt,
Oh my
right.
God, man, he got hit. My
that
stomach
was Miami
turned.
versus Ohio State, wasn't it?
I believe so.
How they play? But
It might have been
I don't know who they played, but I
or
remember he got
Alabama,
hurt.
and
somebody
man, he
got
ringed
smashed.
him. And and you look at the players, it's like, oh man, this guy almost just set this guy up to take
Right.
him out like that. And when the play happened, you think, man, that guy's done. He's going to be selling used cars in Vegas, man.
Right.
His whole career is done.
Right.
But fortunately, luckily, thank God he was able to recover from his injury and have a pretty decent professional career.
Even though in Buffalo we don't have the highest position on McGahee. He came. I don't know if you know McGahee. When he left Buffalo, he got traded to Baltimore. He was like, yeah, Buffalo's an all right town. They have an Applebee's, and basically because he was out in Orchard Park and only did the Orchard Park stuff, he thought there was really not much going on in Buffalo. Even though obviously Buffalo's not the most metropolitan of cities, but we got a lot more going on than an Applebee's.
He has tons of good moms and pop shops in Buffalo, and he could have got his grub on. Hey,
Man, he could have definitely been all over the place, seeing all kind of things. But to get off that, but back on the Buffalo Bills, the Buffalo Bills coach Rex Ryan just got fired this week after I think it was a 16-15 career career record in Buffalo. But I think he hasn't made. They talked about the fact that Buffalo hasn't made the playoffs in the last 2 years under his watch, but he hasn't made the playoffs in the last 6 years since he had those 2 years with the Jets. But he hasn't, he's supposed to be a defensive guru, but just got let go. I was wondering what your thoughts are on Rex Ryan getting released Rex Ryan getting fired.
Fired, you're fired. It's a tough call because he had a lot of injuries coming in this year, and trying to work his way through that on the defensive side of the ball. Then there were some drug suspensions as well. It just never seemed like they got clicking really.
Right.
And they couldn't close out games. And is that the coach's fault? Is that the personnel's fault? We could go back and forth tit for tat on that, but it seems like in the media in Buffalo, they wanted to lop off his head after the first 5 or 6 games.
Right. We so tired of losing in Buffalo. But I think the big thing for Rex Ryan, the big curse against Rex Ryan had been he's supposed to be a defensive guru. He came into a top 3 defense, and the defense only got worse under his watch. Here he is supposed to be, the man to come here and turn the defense into something. And not to say that we had the best defense, but we certainly expect to have a better defense than we did. And then he brought his brother in, so we had 2 defensive gurus under the Buddy Ryan tree, his sons. And they did nothing with the Buffalo Bills defense.
I think on certain situations, you can go back and look at some of the game footage. The offense didn't help the defense. And if you put some guys out there on defense the majority of the game, you could put them at a junior college team on offense against them. Sooner or later, they're going to crack the nut open. So.
I think I disagree with you in that the last 2 games, the offense was somewhat in the game. We lost 31 to 34 against Miami, and I think the offense scored something like 21 to 30 points against Pittsburgh, and just the defense giving up leads. Or if you add, the fourth quarter, the overtime, where Ajay, or whatever his name is, from Miami ran for 50 some odd yards. Rex only had 10 players on the field. Then you have him missing the timeout. It's like just mismanagement. And it really shocks me that really sort of been the modus operandi, the MO of the Buffalo Bills. Like just, attention to detail is not their focus. Why is it that you can get a team like Belichick's been in New England for 16 years. You got Pittsburgh with sorry, I can't think of his name. I can see him.
Mike Tomlin.
Mike Tomlin's been there, 6-7 years now. Why can't the Bills find somebody, who can be a real, a difference maker, somebody who can build a culture of success?
Yeah.
Why is it so hard to do that?
I think Tomlin inherited a good foundation to start with in Pittsburgh. I think he went to the Super Bowl, or they were.
They won 2 Super Bowls under him.
Yeah, but they were
No,
they were
one.
playoff
Went to
contention
2.
team, and then Belichick, he got all the offensive tapes of every team in the league, so he's got it all figured out. But I'll give New England, they are a really, really good time management team and in that aspect. So if it's a close game, 9 times out of 10 they should be able to beat you. So you got to get out and get ahead of them really early and stay ahead of them.
Hey, man, I got to take a pause on this real quick, Pops. I'm never, ever going to not go to the bathroom again doing my set. I'm over here squirming and moving. We'll take a pause real quick. Uno momento.
Uno momento.
Holy moly.
Man.
I don't know how many minutes. We're back after I had to take a small break. I always would tell my lady friends good things that the size of one's bladder has nothing to do with one's member. Because, man, I got the tiniest bladder in the world. Oof. I got to go. Not necessarily information that nobody cares about, but wanted to be silly and throw it on the camera. Anyway, back at it talking about sports with my man Ed Lyles, King Bear Sadat, here with my man Ed Lyles. What it do?
What it do is what it is what it. I'll be where I be, or whatever the young folks say these days.
That's right. But yeah, talking back a little bit more about the Buffalo Bills and what's going on. You know, you look at like one of the things I always say to myself is that as much as I think I know about football, I've been watching football since I was about 7 years old. That these cats have to know more than I do because of how much time they put in it. But sometimes it doesn't seem like they do no more. Like look at a couple years ago when we picked, we had something like the 5th or 6th pick. We picked Aaron Mabin from Penn State, lightweight D lineman, weighed about 240, something like that. I thought we was going to pick Brian Arakpo. Or you look at us trading up 2 years ago to move up to pick Sammy Watkins. Meanwhile, I thought for sure we were going to pick Mike Evans, who was jumping out of the doggone gym, snatching stuff out of the air for Johnny Football, Johnny Manziel, but we didn't pick him. So you wonder sometimes, what do these guys know? What do they fear? What do they know that we don't know? I just wonder what the heck they're doing sometimes over at One Bills Drive.
But lots of times, that's their profession, and they're looking at the tapes, and they're doing a lot of breakdowns, and it's all about how a person interviews, too, also with a team. It's like, hey, if they ever get a really good feeling about the guy, then they're going to go forth and draft him. Hey, just imagine those guys that picked Sam Bowie over Michael Jordan.
Ooh.
So,
I got a funny story about that.
It's the luck of the draw sometimes. You don't know exactly what you're going to get because you're going from a college level to a professional level.
Where did Sam Bowie go? Do you remember who he went to?
I think he went to Portland.
Okay, so Portland's GM had asked Bobby Knight, who should I draft? He goes, you should draft Michael Jordan. They said, well, we need a center. He goes, well, shit, have him play center then. You know what I'm saying? Like, man, pick Michael Jordan is what he told him. Man, that's too much on that. You never know who's going to be somebody.
Yeah, because the whole dynamic of basketball was going. Michael Jordan brought in a whole new different dynamic because previously you have a big guy in the middle, you pass him the ball. If he can't get anything, he kicks it out. They shoot it or they dribble it in. So Michael Jordan is
one of the first transition players. Played the 1, 2, 3. Almost the 4.
And just like Magic, hell, he played every position on the court in the championship. Who ever heard of anything like that?
6'9"
point guard.
Right.
Who ever heard of that?
Right.
And so those type of individuals change the whole dynamic of the game. And you really don't think they would do, just like Lawrence Taylor when he came out of college. It's like, Lawrence who? I mean, we heard of him a little bit. But he was, I think, what was the other guy? The white guy from Arkansas. Billy Ray Jackson.
I don't know who that is.
He was the talk of the town, and he was a sure can't miss candidate. And they drafted him. They would have been better off drafting me because you never heard of him after that.
Isn't that funny, the draft bust? But speaking of just back on the NBA note, just players who are just doing incredible things, Russell Westbrook is having a career year. I think he's up to something like 30 triple-doubles in a calendar year, meaning he had some of those games last year. I think he has like 15 triple-doubles this year. And it's funny because his coach was talking about him saying that Russell's going to get his 20 points. Or 10 points, he's going to get that. But the thing is to watch him rebound. You know, that he gets those passes, how he's setting up different people. Like Russell Wilson, sans, who went to Golden State?
Oh, you talking
Durant.
Durant.
Yeah. So sans Durant, Russell Westbrook is having a heck of a year.
Yeah, I like Golden.